The idea of holistic treatments has been gaining popularity since it was introduced in the U.S. in the 1970s. Holistic treatments emphasize whole body care. Practitioners address not only the physical body, but the person's emotional and spiritual health as well. Many of us have heard about holistic treatments to help people cope with anxiety or life-threatening illnesses. But what you may not realize is just how important it's become as a part of short-term and long-term health care in the nursing homes. Today, we're joined by 3 practitioners of holistic therapy from Caleb Hitchcock Health Center at Duncaster. Jeff Fournier, Director of Life Enrichment, and someone who's actually been at Duncaster since the week before it opened in 1984, and Paula Jasminski, Director of Social Services at Duncaster and Cabo, who's been a part of a long line of golden retrievers who were the first members of the holistic care team at Duncaster. Welcome, Jeff. Welcome, Paula. And welcome, Cabo.
Thank you.
Paula, I've heard it's called holistic therapy. It's also called life-enhancing therapy. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
Well, ideally what we want to do is not just people come to nursing homes for physical needs, but we want to address the whole person and make sure that their physical needs as well as their psychological and spiritual needs are met.
And so that's where that's where holistic therapy comes in?
Yes, we really want to address the whole person. And part of the way we're doing that is overall nursing homes are going to focus on more person-centered care. They want to treat the whole person and include them as part of the decision-making team. Okay, so you mentioned person-centered care. Talk to me a little bit about that. I know you practice it at Caleb Hitchcock at Duncaster, and that it's become more popular. Talk about that. Well, one of the things that my first job is to get to know the resident a little bit.
Okay.
So I get to interview really interesting people about their life stories, and that's sort of where it starts. But we also want to include as part of the care team the resident, of course, and what their preferences are, but their family members, sometimes their friends, their physicians. So there's a lot of different people who get involved in the team.
So therapy becomes more than the physical.
Exactly. We use a whole team on our side. We have an interdisciplinary team. And we also want to include the people who are being involved on the end when they get out of the nursing home.
Okay.
So we want to continue with their personal physicians or their supports.
Jeff, talk a little bit about how this guy is part of the team.
Well, Caleb is a guy that really reduces anxiety and stress in some of our residents. Sometimes our residents are having a bad day. Mm-hmm. And when they see Cabo, they reduce their anxiety and they start focusing on the dog as opposed to maybe what's been bothering them. There was one lady one time that she was having a catastrophic reaction. She was having a bad morning, and Cabo went up to her and she's, "Oh, Cabo," started petting him. And half an hour later,
get out of yourself.
Half an hour later, she's out of herself and still petting Cabo. Forgot completely about what was disturbing her.
So how do you use him? Talk a little bit about, or I guess, how does he use us? But
well, basically, we take him around in the morning, and he visits everybody every morning. And we have some residents that are short-term residents, and they request that he visits them every single day. So we know what residents are really like dogs. Some residents really don't like dogs, but 90% of our residents have had dogs at one time. So Cabo has some fans all over Caleb Hitchcock. So we know some residents that really, it kind of sets a good tone for the day. And so we have him visit some of those residents right away.
He literally just wanders around and visits their room?
Oh, yeah. Especially the ones that give him a little bit of bacon in the morning.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising. So he is part of a cadre of fur and feathers that are part of the whole life-enhancing treatment at Caleb Hitchcock at Duncaster.
We've had 3 golden retrievers. They go back for about 15 years. We have some birds. We have a cockatoo. We have cockatiels. But the therapy dog really kind of started a long time ago after I read a book by Dr. William Thomas, The Eden Alternative, which tells about bringing companions, animals into homes, bringing plants into homes, and bringing laughter from children into homes.
Really?
And that's when we designed Caleb Hitchcock. We have all these trees around there, and that's why we started the intergenerational program many years ago, and that's why we have the dogs too, because it kind of normalizes the environment.
You talked a little bit about bringing children into the community. Talk a little bit about that.
I've been doing intergenerational visitation by kids for probably 30 years now.
Really?
A lot of the kids, they come in because they have to do community service for school. Some kids just want to come and volunteer. They want to learn about the environment. I asked a couple residents the other day, why do you like children to come to our environment? And she goes, because it brings joy and laughter and it makes me feel young.
Wow. So just having them part of the environment.
Just having them in, it is amazing. You know, it's almost, you think about who would be the best recreation therapist? It would be a little baby.
That's true.
Because as soon as they see that little, oh, look at that baby, oh, so cute. They forget about maybe something that's bothered. Look at that dog, oh, he's so cute. Oh, let me pet. And it really kind of takes them into this world that has no problems. And it's just a nice, easygoing environment.
There are other things that have to do with quality of life. And one of them is a program called Never Too Late. Talk a little bit about that.
We were actually the first nursing home in Connecticut to have Never Too Late. And we have actually 3 systems right now. It's a person-centered computer program.
Okay.
And what it does is it kind of identifies the social needs, the physical needs, the emotional needs of residents, and you can actually tailor this computer program to meet their needs. Like, for example, you can take them traveling anywhere in the world. You can do some lifelong learning. You can do all kinds of reminiscence and take them back to the 1920s and 1930s. There's all kinds of spiritual programs there. There's games and puzzles. It challenges their mind. It challenges their emotions, and it really kind of it really enhances their life in many, many ways. We even have a new computer screen. It's a 70-inch touchscreen TV.
Oh, wow.
It's all touchscreen, so you don't have to use a keyboard or anything, and they can just touch everywhere they go. We have this one program for physical therapy the therapist can use. It's called a bubble popper. And if anybody needs some, maybe they had a little bit of a stroke, they have these bubbles, and they can use to pop the bubbles, and it can maybe stimulate the right side or the left side, depending if it's impaired at all. So there's a myriad of programs. There's actually thousands and thousands of different things on there.
And the residents have taken to that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
So, Paula, talk a little bit about, because Jeff brought up the whole idea of bringing them back to the 20s and 30s. You're very involved with using music in therapy. Talk about that.
Exactly. One of the things that the research indicates is there's a lot of brain connections that are formed when you listen to music. So people have very emotional connections to music, and what happens is when you can play familiar music, their whole brain lights up, and we've seen sometimes people just sort of come alive. The important thing is to get music that's familiar to them and that strikes that chord, and it can really spark wonderful memories.
You mentioned someone who was living at Caleb Hitchcock at Duncaster that sort of hadn't been talking, hadn't been communicative. Talk a little bit about that, because I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, it really is a thing that can spark something that maybe we haven't seen in a long time. Sometimes people will forget their loved ones, but it just is able to spark their ability to integrate the brain in such a way that they are able to communicate through those memories of very important music to them.
So you talked a little. Tell me about that person who lived at Duncaster, because I thought that was interesting. The person that sort of hadn't been communicative, and then you played music, and they suddenly got out of themselves.
Yeah, we have a program called Music and Memory, and Jeff loads up the iPods, and really, it's really important. People can just come alive through using music, and it's great. It's really rewarding to see. We do have other things too. Jeff mentioned children. One of the things that we use a lot in our memory care unit is we have realistic looking dolls, and that really is it's wonderful to see, because particularly women many of them have had children, when they hold that baby, they just connect to those very warm, wonderful memories, and they have a job to do because they're taking care of that baby. So it's it's a great thing to see.
Have we covered all of the sort of what you're calling life-enhancing therapies? Music, the children, the pet therapy. Am I missing anything?
Well, you can't forget JJ, our cockatoo.
Talk about JJ. He's been there a very long time.
JJ is, he's been there for about 20 years now, and we have an employee who comes in an hour before his shift every single day that he works, and he takes them around, and he visits the residents, and JJ, he's got a little bit of a vocabulary.
JJ's a
cockatoo.
Bigger the one.
Bigger
in
one.
white.
Okay.
Yeah, and he'll come around, and he'll kind of dance for people, and he's animated, and he really kind of livens up the area when he comes in. And he'll sometimes he squawks, wakes people up, and but it's just kind of fun to see him do his antics. So JJ's been part of our
20 years,
20 years,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
And then we have a few cockatiels. We used to have a rabbit. We've got 225-gallon fish tanks, which really has a very calming kind of effect of our residents and soothing. And they just like to see the fish swimming around. So, you know, we've got a lot of different things that stimulate our residents from the animal world.
And then there's you.
Yes.
You and your wardrobe.
Oh, this is pretty bland.
That is very bland. Talk about some of your more interesting costumes.
Well, this is a typical.
Yeah.
That's a typical pair of socks that my strawberry socks. But I like to make it fun. I like to make fun shirts. And I've been Santa Claus. I've been the Easter Bunny. I wear crazy hats. I wear bright colored shirts, and it gets a positive reaction out of the residents. All the time, especially the socks. And I started it a long time ago, and I got 9 pairs of socks for Christmas last year for my assistants. So I've got a whole drawer full of crazy socks.
But yeah, you've got some interesting outfits. What was the one you were showing?
I've got one I just bought, and it's an actual bear, and when you slip it on, it looks like you're dancing. And the bear is dancing, and you are sitting on the bear's shoulders. So I put that on a couple weeks ago, and I went dancing at a birthday party, and it was a real hoot. The residents, they were laughing like so. I'm gonna have to break that out for Halloween next year again.
Yeah, I think you're stuck.
So
with
we got a whole wardrobe of hats and costumes in the back room that we break out every once in a while, just to make it fun.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I want to thank the 3 of you for joining us today, Cabo under there, I think we bored him. We're not as exciting as obviously the people who live at Caleb Hitchcock at Duncaster. I want to thank all 3 of you for joining us today. I got a better picture of what holistic therapy is, and I hope that you as viewers have enjoyed this segment of Health for All from Duncaster. And if you have any questions about the topics we've covered today, please get in touch with Jeff or Paula at Caleb Hitchcock at Duncaster. And join us next month when we'll send you some tips about choosing a short-term rehab center. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next month at Health for All from Duncaster.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.